race in 2015? Good, because I am. So first I want to say, I'm a little nervous up here. I'm not a public speaker, I'm just a regular person, right, who does this work. So bear with me if I stumble through my thoughts a little bit. Second thing I want to say is that I'm honored to be here with y'all today as we honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., not only by praising his name, but by continuing to do the work that he started with many others in the civil rights movement. So again, thank you for having me. I want to thank the organizers for organizing this event. Thank KL and James for taking care of me, making sure my stay here was desired. So my friend here did a good job with the bio, so I can skip that. You don't have to do that, right? So I want to talk about a few things today. I know y'all probably want to hear about what's going on in Ferguson, in St. Louis County, because it's not just happening in Ferguson. They like to say that it's just Ferguson, but it's going on all over St. Louis County and city, right? People are engaged everywhere in the city. Demonstrations are going on everywhere in the city, and police are coming down with that iron fist of repression everywhere in the city, right? So, I know y'all want to hear about that, but you really already know what's going on in St. Louis City. It's going on in Ohio, it's going on here in Seattle, it's going on in New York, it's going on in Phoenix, it's going on everywhere in the nation, and Albuquerque. And it's called systematic racism, right? Where people of color are deterred, discouraged, and inhibited from reaching their full potential in American society by systems that are to whites only true social services, right? Systems like the education system, the criminal justice system, financial system, the healthcare system, and the media propaganda systems. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on of institutions designed to benefit only one subset of the human race. And those are white people, right? And so this systematic racism is evident when armed white men like Derek Daniel Thomas in New Orleans can go on an entire shooting spree, a high-speed chase, and have a standoff with police and be taken into custody. But unarmed black children like Tamir Rice are shot dead within seconds of police response. So we already know about that. We know that this is happening all across the nation in our communities. I want to talk about something that everyone here may not know, right? So I want to talk about race. I want to talk about class, right? I want to talk about how we deal with racism, we fight each other, we go tit for tat, all this stuff, right? When we're all only one race. Right, the human race, right? We all originate from the same place, right? We all come from Africa. That's right. And we migrated out of Africa, right? So some folks migrated to the north, right, where the air was cooler, it was harsher, it was colder, there was less sunlight, right? So people became paler. Their nostrils became thinner as to not take up so much of this harsh air, right? People who migrated south, their skin became darker because of so much sun. Their hair became nappier and thicker to protect themselves from the sunlight. Their nostrils grew wider because the air was easy to breathe, right? So we have to realize that we're all brothers and sisters. One race, one nation, one God. So race is merely a human classification system, right? It's used to organize, right, races. I would even say that it's used there we go, to divide and conquer, right, to pit people against each other, with white folks on the top, black folks on bottom, right? And so, like I said, we started in Africa, we migrated away, adapted and evolved in different ways based on the climates we migrated to. We all share 99.9% of our DNA. There is some variation of our DNA based on the different geographical locations and populations, the different geographical locations of populations. And the further apart these populations are, as geneticists Kenneth Wees and Jeffrey Long put it, and the further away these populations are, the greater the differences between them. But the boundaries between populations are, as geneticists Kenneth Wees and Jeffrey Long put it, multi-layered, porous, ephemeral, and difficult to identify. Pure, geographically separated ancestral populations are an abstraction. There is no reason to think that we ever were isolated, homogeneous, parental populations at any time in our human past. Like I said, we are one race on one planet. Race is a social construct, nothing more. One race, the human race. So, as this one race, this human race, a bunch of underclass folks, right? We all really are in the same boat, okay? We are all slaves to the banks who print fiat currency out of thin air, right? Money that has no value, no gold or silver to back it up, right? It's created out of thin air. It's lent to our government at interest, right? That's why we're $18 trillion in debt, right? And we have to work to pay these taxes back, right? That's why there's no money to put in schools or poor communities, right? Because we're so far in debt. And it really, I don't have really enough time to break down the Federal Reserve System. So I encourage you, when you go home, to do a Google search on the truth behind the Federal Reserve and really research and try to understand how we all are slaves to the central banks, to this debt system, and how we all are being oppressed, right? So while we fight each other with this racism garbage, these fat cats like sit up there on the top of the food train, you know, and live like kings while we fight for scraps among each other. So police repression, right? I was talking to a reporter, Rihanna, for the name of the magazine is slipping my mind now. I got so many things run through my head. But she asked me what I want y'all to take away from what's been happening in Ferguson, right? And what I would want y'all, and I keep saying Ferguson, I'm getting caught up in that too, but what's been happening in St. Louis, not just Ferguson, is that like iron fist of police repression that they brought down on us when we went out to demonstrate and protest, it can happen here. It will happen here if y'all do what we did. If y'all uprising the way we did, they will come down the same way on y'all. You know? That's what the Pentagon's 1033 program is all about. This program that puts these military-grade weapons, vehicles, and training in the hands of your local police departments, right? It's about repressing the uprising of American citizens with military-like force. Right off that. Our agent or whatever, you know, color you are. I don't want to use the word race because, like I said, it's one race, right? So whatever color you are, And in fact, thanks to the Patriot Act, signed into law by President Bush, and the National Defense Authorization Act, signed into law by President Obama, we all, as American citizens, have no rights, right? If we are deemed a terrorist, which we can be deemed so under suspicion alone, right? They do not have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are a terrorist. So something as little as participating in a non-violent protest can have you deemed a terrorist. You can be you can be detained indefinitely without charges or due process by the United States military under presidential order under the National Defense Authorization Act. So I just want to say that we all are being oppressed right now. None of us have rights in this society that we're living in today, right? So in order to fight the real problems that we face as underclass citizens in America, first we have to undo racism, right? We have to come together as a people, right? To fight the real problems that we face. There's one percenters, there's central bankers, the CEOs of corporations, right? Who want to keep us as crabs in the bucket, fighting one another and not seeing them as the real enemy, a real true enemy. Right? So what does that look like? How do we do that? What are the solutions? Right? And I think it's coming together in spaces just like this. Right? It's building community with one another. It's building relationships with one another. You know what I'm saying? It's showing love to one another, right? That's the true revolution. That's what the Bible said we are really most afraid of. Us realizing that we're all connected. One love, one spirit. You know what I'm saying? One energy that flows through all of us, through the universe. You know, that's what they're really most afraid of. Is us realizing our true power as the people, you know, and really organizing against the minority. So I'm getting the time, so I gotta get back. But like I said, I just want to say, how do we move forward in 2015? How do we fight for our rights in 2015? We don't go downtown, we don't yell at police. We don't try to get any like legislation passed, right? We don't try to get these initiatives passed because just like the racial equity initiative here that Murray Flowers and other organizers got passed here with years of community work a few years ago, it's going to be co-opted, right? Because these are the same folks who've been oppressing us this whole time who want to uphold these laws that we try to get passed, right? So how do we move forward? We have our own people's assemblies, just like this one here, separate from the state, right? You know what I'm saying? We collectively discuss what issues we face and ways to organize around them, right? What we have to do is we have to transfer that power from the state to the people, right? And the only way we do that is like I said, to come together as one, figure out these issues, what are our issues collectively, organize around those issues, build that community, build those relationships with one another, and out of those relationships, out of that community, we cultivate leadership from right there. We cultivate leadership from within this space, right? And we stack the city council with those people. We stack our school board with those people. You know what I'm saying? And we support and hold them accountable. And they run on a platform that we collectively design as the community. So that's what the solution is, and how that looks. It just looks like I said, bringing love to events, bringing life to events, hold consistent events where folks can come together, build those relationships, have that space to get to know one another, build that community. And I hope y'all